Have you ever felt like there's a constant battle just raging inside your head? One part of you wants to be productive, to be healthy, and then there's this other part that just wants to kick back and, well, indulge. Today, we're going to dive into this internal civil war and really understand the science behind why we make the choices we do every single day.
I mean, think about it. There's the you who sets the alarm for 6 a.m. ready to hit the gym and eat a salad for lunch, but then there's that other you, the one who slams the snooze button, orders a pizza at 10 p.m., and just has to watch one more episode. So, be honest, which one usually wins? Hey, if any of that sounds familiar, you're not weak, you're just normal. In fact, modern neuroscience has this amazing metaphor for what's going on. Your brain isn't some perfectly oiled single computer. Nope, it's more like a loud, messy internal democracy. A team of rivals, all fighting for control. So let's frame this the right way. We're not just talking about making a simple choice here. We're talking about an all-out war for the control of your actions.
Literally every single moment of your day, different factions inside your brain are lobbying, they're shouting, they're fighting to take the wheel. It's this non-stop tug of war between your rational, long-term goals and your immediate, impulsive desires.
All right, so to really get a handle on this battle, we have to meet the main rivals, right? So let's introduce the two key players in this internal fight. Okay, imagine for a second that your brain is a courtroom. On one side, you've got the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Yeah, I know, it's a mouthful. Let's just call it the adult in the room. This is your logical side. It analyzes facts, it thinks about the future, it preaches discipline. But on the other side of the courtroom, you've got the limbic system. And let me tell you, it could not care less about your 5-year plan. It is the now system. It's all about immediate feelings, hunger, gratification, tiredness. You get the idea.
And sitting right in the middle of this whole courtroom is this tiny but incredibly persuasive part of the brain, the Nucleus Accumbens. Now, neuroscientists have a great nickname for this. They call it the brain's buy button. So when you see that shiny new phone or a delicious-looking donut, this little thing just lights up. It attaches a huge reward value to it and basically screams, "We need this." If you've ever bought something and felt that wave of regret almost immediately, yeah, you can thank your buy button for winning that vote.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, life would be so much easier if I could just, mute that emotional, impulsive side. Well, funny thing about that, it turns out that would be a complete and utter disaster. So here's the big twist. Emotion isn't the villain here. Actually, for most of our decisions, emotion is firmly in the driver's seat. Our rational brain, it's often just a passenger, maybe holding the map, but definitely not holding the steering wheel. Without our emotions, we'd be totally stuck.
But why? Why would that be? Well, it's because emotions are what help us prioritize things. They give us that little nudge we need to actually make a choice. Just imagine trying to pick a box of cereal based on pure logic alone. Seriously, you'd be stuck in that aisle for hours, comparing sodium content, fiber ratios, price per ounce. You need that emotional shortcut that just goes, that one looks good. And this brings us to this really cool concept called somatic markers. You know that gut feeling you get sometimes? Well, it's not just a metaphor. It is a real high-speed data stream coming directly from your emotional memory. Those physical signals, a racing heart when you're nervous, that sinking pit in your stomach, that's your body literally remembering the feeling of a past mistake, and it's warning you before your conscious brain has even had time to catch up. So, okay, if our emotions and these gut feelings can sometimes lead us astray, how does the brain learn from its mistakes? How does it grade its own performance so it can do better next time?
The answer is really fascinating. It lies in something called the dopamine error signal. See, your brain is constantly making predictions about how rewarding something is going to be. This system is kind of like a report card that compares your expectation to what actually happens. So when something turns out way better than you thought it would, your brain gets this huge flood of dopamine, a really powerful, "Hey, do that again" signal. But when something is a letdown, your dopamine levels just plummet. That negative feeling, that's the error signal. It's telling your brain, whoops, let's not make that mistake again. This is learning happening at a purely chemical level. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, so we've got an emotional system that's driving us, and we've got a dopamine system that's teaching us lessons. But who's supposed to be putting all those lessons into practice? How do we actually become the chief executive officer of our own minds?
Well, let's meet the CEO, the prefrontal cortex, or PFC. You can think of this as the brain's brain. Its main job is all about executive function, planning for the future, controlling impulses, and, maybe most importantly, taming the brain's primitive alarm system, the amygdala. The PFC is the part of you that wisely chooses the salad over the pizza. But here's the catch. This CEO isn't all-powerful. When we're under stress, the PFC starts to lose its grip. The alarm system takes over, and suddenly we're making impulsive, really short-sighted decisions. And uncertainty? Oh, uncertainty just throws a wrench in the whole system. That feeling of maybe, that can actually spike your dopamine, which is exactly why things like gambling are so addictive. The possibility of a big win can be even more powerful than the win itself.
So how can you help your inner CEO stay in charge? Well, it really comes down to a simple two-step process you can use right in the heat of the moment. Say you're scrolling online and a flash sale pops up. First, recognize the feeling. Just pause for a second and ask yourself, is my buy button getting pushed right now? Is my emotional brain trying to take over? And second, consciously engage the executive. Ask, is this decision actually in line with my long-term goals, or is this just a short-term impulse? Seriously, just taking that brief pause can be enough to hand control right back to your CEO.
You know, the biggest takeaway from all of this isn't just about making better choices. It's really about being more compassionate with yourself. That struggle you feel inside, it's real, it's biological. Every single choice you make, good or bad, is a hard-won victory for one side of your brain over the other. So I'll just leave you with this question. The next time you find yourself standing in front of the fridge late at night or hovering over that buy now button, just take a second. Ask yourself, in this exact moment, who is winning the war in my head? The long-term planner or the short-term thrill seeker? Because once you understand the battle, you can finally start to tip the scales in your favor.